Hi, I'm Rachel Williams, Chief Editor of Pool and Spa Professional. I'm here at PSP Deck Expo with Zach, Edgar, and John, the hosts of the Pool Nation podcast. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I wanted to start off by asking you, as hosts of the Pool Nation podcast, you hear from a lot of industry professionals about what their pain points are, what they're interested in learning about. So what are the big topics you're hearing about right now?
So I think one of the biggest things that we find on the podcast is really a lot of the guys are looking for the business side of their business. So there's a lot of conversations out there about water chemistry and your repairs, but there's not a lot of conversation of how to run their business. And that could be anything from HR, it could be anything to finances, it could be anything to raising rates, to tightening the routes, but it's a lot more on that side of their business than the traditional, how do I fix a heater, a pump, or water chemistry.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's easy to be able to say, hey, I have a question, I need to know how to work a pump, or I need to figure out a water chemistry issue. But when it comes down to something personal like business, right, and income and the money that you're bringing home and what you're charging, that's a very intimate subject, and it's hard for people to actually open up and ask for help. Yet we think that's probably the most important part of any business owner, is understanding business and having a clear understanding of how to run their business successful so that they're able to thrive opposed to just survive in the industry.
Absolutely, and it's just getting people's minds going, right? Sometimes we just say something and the whole goal is not necessarily to tell them what to do or tell them how to do it, it's just to get the wheels spinning so that they start thinking about those topics and actually investigating the things that we're talking about.
Great. Well, it's interesting to hear what the hot topics are right now. I know that, one thing that we're hearing on our end is pool professionals wanting to know how can they stand out in the market. It's a crowded market right now. So what advice do you have for them in order to achieve this?
So as far as pool professionals or pool builders, I think what we need to do, I kind of want to flip the script on it, especially when it comes down to pool builders. I think the biggest opportunity we have in an industry is the relationship between pool builders and service industry. Too many times there seems to be tension between the two, where they're not necessarily working together correctly. And I think if they change that mentality and they start working together, I think as far as branding, like for instance builders, they go out and they try to promote their company and their work and what they do, either through means of advertising or flyers or referral basis from previous clients that they've done work with. But if they were to build relationships with the people that actually service the pools that they built, then they're able to create a brand that is going to, how do I put it, that'll far exceed any other means of advertising or branding that they could possibly do, if we can somehow close that loophole or close that gap between service and builders.
There's also the other side where when you create that, you're creating a different advertising for the pool builders, because now you have the pros where the homeowner might come and say, hey, I need a renovation, or my sister's looking for a build. The pool pro is going to go, this is the person that you need, and this is why, because whether it's installing the pad, you get pool builders that might put it all too tight or whatever. So that really kind of gives them another advantage and another source of advertising that they probably wouldn't get.
Great. Well, you three gentlemen work so well together, and I know that you've been doing the Pool Nation podcast for a while. So can you tell me a little bit about, your working relationship? Are you each experts in a certain area? How do you kind of navigate that?
So I think the first thing that we always say that we're just three knuckleheads. That's the first thing that we always kind of put out to the table, right? And this podcast has grown from an Instagram Live that was done, and then the pool guys kept asking, because of them asking for questions about how to run their business, how to increase their rates, how to be more profitable, how to do all that, is really how they kept asking for that, so that's how the podcast grew. But I think the one thing that we do is, we always have fun at everything that we're doing. That's number one. And we go into it knowing that we are three knuckleheads. We have three different points of view, and that's what we're going to give our listeners. We're going to give them three totally different opinions, but for them to be able to kind of, like Zach was saying, get their minds thinking. Maybe it was something that John said that really spoke to them, or maybe it was something that Zach with his business. So that's really kind of the first thing that we do is really have fun, remember that we're three knuckleheads having a good time doing a podcast, and then trying to share all of our information from across the different experiences.
I think the awesome thing about it is that we all have three different point of views, right? We're all at three different cycles with our businesses. We all have three different backgrounds when it comes to things. So John brings a lot of backgrounds from a different industry.
Did he just call me old? Is that why I'm doing three different
But that's
thought
established.
processes?
That's established.
Established.
Yeah, we really know that. Somebody knows.
That's kind of rude, dude.
But yeah, so we have three different
Anything
point
to
of-
take a jab at me subtle with the age thing. Appreciate that.
So what it does is it brings on three different types of viewers, right? There are people that relate with what I've got going on in my business and maybe some of the struggles that I'm experiencing at this point in time. And then there are people that relate with John and what he's got going on. And then there's people that get more of that more corporate business side of things from Edgar, from his past experiences. So.
Yeah, and just to top it all off, I mean, the bottom line is our opinions. What we do is, I feel, we're very genuine and very authentic, and we don't have a hidden agenda, right? We made an agreement that we're not going to allow any product, any vendor, any manufacturer to dictate what we do and how we do it and what we say. So what our goal is to truly better the industry and to make it better for all of us. And that might sound a little cheesy, and I tell that everybody. They go, "Oh my God, that sounds so ridiculous," but it's true. We're part of an industry that I think is growing at light speed, and we're at the cusp of something really great. And I think it's very important that we get whatever information, our experiences, and our values and stuff that we've learned out to everybody we possibly can, so that we can better the industry. Because the new generation is where it's at. That's why we focus mostly on the newer pool pros. But as far as like attitudes and what we bring to the table, I think it's opposites attract. Or somehow we're all opposite.
Right.
If that even makes any sense, which it really doesn't. But we get along great, and we all respect each other in what we do. And I'm having a hell of a fun time. So.
And the interesting thing is, when we started the Instagram Live, Zach, John, and I had never met in person. So people were calling, asking us to do a podcast, and I said, the only way I'm going to do it is if John and Zach do it. I called them, thinking one of them was going to say no. Both of them were like, we're in. And from there, it's been magic. I mean, we've grown a brotherhood that goes beyond that. We always talk about it. The day that the whole Pool Nation podcast blows up, we at least have our friendship, and that to us is what's important. And I think that's another aspect that allows us to do well on the podcast.
Because we're who we are. We're ourselves.
We respect each other.
So
We
that's
love being
what's
together.
important.
So
And it's amazing just with today's technology. We didn't meet each other until a year after we had been podcasting together in person. So
Well, the name of the game today is virtual, so you're ahead of the game. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see more Pool Nation podcast.
all right,
Thanks for having
So
us.
much for having
us on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.